Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Megan and Todd Talk D&D, and we are doing a series of monsters in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, and we are talking about zombies today.
Yes, this is another example of making monsters in Ravenloft scary again. And zombies have a very storied history in Ravenloft. Strahd zombies, you just assumed there were zombies as a D&D player. You didn't really, they're like, oh, this will be an easy fight. But every time you hit them, there was a chance their limbs would fall off and then attack you independently.
Oh, no.
And that's what made Strahd zombies scary, and that defined Ravenloft. Ravenloft does not play by your rules. And that's why zombies are such a huge part of, I feel, Ravenloft's history in terms of what's important.
So that kind of answers my next question about the swarm of zombie limbs.
I hate this. Yeah, so the swarm of zombie limbs is peculiar. It is actual zombie limbs all together in a conglomeration, a swarm, all trying to kill you. Mm-hmm. I think this could definitely be a result of Strahd zombies losing their limbs and their torsos and heads being destroyed, but their hearts will go on. Their feet and legs and hands are moving around, and they create this weird, creepy, limb-focused, fingers and claws, and they're just this swarm of zombie parts. That terrifies me. Yes. It reminds me of like a swarm of, crawling claws. It's just hands. Just hands. A swarm of hands is so upsetting. I don't want to see it. Now, a swarm of feet is confusing. I would say still terrifying, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And super smelly.
And who knows what's part of those limbs? Like, some things have tentacles, some things have wings. That's upsetting. So, this is a good example of swarm of zombie limbs. Kind of shows you, like, okay, we're going all in on zombies. And there is a domain in Ravenloft called Falkovnia that deals with monthly zombie attacks from the mists, and this adds to that domain's fear factor in a really big way. And I love what they've done with Falkovnia. It's so fun. I love everything about it. They get kind of the mythos of zombies and kind of the idea that maybe the zombies aren't the real threat as much as the people who are quote-unquote defending you from the zombies. Mm-hmm. They really kind of get that. And so I think the first step in that direction is the swarm of zombie limbs. Mm-hmm. And, consequently, because this is a swarm, the limbs can all grab you all at once. You can imagine a very dark version of Labyrinth, when, she said down, and you see all the hands, grab. This is like if this thing is all hands and limbs and tentacles.
No, I don't like that.
It's very good at grappling you,
no.
In a sense, so, and restraining you, and this is a bad way to go. Another thing to keep in mind when it comes to the zombie swarm is because they are limbs or fingers and very small, they maybe can get underneath a door or get through a window or maybe a rat hole that leads to your house. So this swarm of zombies is now more of a threat. Even if you've got all the windows barred, you've got everything reinforced, if there's even an inch of space, the zombie swarm may be able to kind of ooze itself into your house, so no one's really safe.
Yeah.
And that's fun.
You're not safe anywhere with those.
But we have more zombies to talk about.
So the next one we have is called Zombie Clot. They are huge undead.
Yeah, it's really that World War Z moment. There are so many zombies combined all together that they can actually form other things. They're almost like ants in this way, so they could form a semi-humanoid giant made of zombies. They could pummel you. They actually had a massive giant fist made out of humanoid zombies that are regular sized. Mm-hmm. They have that stench that causes you damage because there's so many rotting zombies in the area.
Yeah, deathly stench. If you're within range, you take poison damage.
Zombie Clot is the size of a building. That's how many zombies make up this thing. And they're all medium-sized. They're all gnashing their teeth. They all want to destroy you. They also have a number of other abilities that are also terrifying. They're robust, as you can imagine, there being so many zombies. So this is a huge monster. The other thing that we have is obviously the Zombie Clot is a huge undead. It can actually put you inside of it, which is not cool.
Yeah, it's kind of a nice cozy cage of dead flesh.
Yeah, it both defends you and creates damage, I believe.
Yeah.
So you can be absorbed by the zombie clot and take damage over, every single round. It's a really rough way to go. Very terrifying.
And they also stink. That is why they have something called deathly stench.
Yeah, so the deathly stench is constantly going on as well, and then you are entombed on top of that. So this is a real threat. This is a real threat to a bunch of adventurers, for sure.
Yeah, you take a lot of damage when you're inside that.
Yeah, when you're entombed, it's not a good scene. Yeah.
So the next one that we have is called Zombie Plague Spreader. It does exactly what it sounds like.
What's great about the Zombie Plague Spreader is that it has an aura that can cause damage over time to anyone who's near it. And if you die of this foul stench, this kind of virus that persists from it, that character or that NPC will rise as a zombie as well. This is how the zombie plague can spread, is if you're even nearby this zombie and you die, you will be raised as a zombie. And this gives it, that zombie apocalypse flavor. No necromancer is making these necessarily. It's not because they're coming out of the mist necessarily. It's just a zombie outbreak.
Yes.
And this makes it fun again. Just like the Lugaroo, you get that flavor of what is scary about zombies? What do we love about zombie movies, zombie stories? This nails it. This makes them a threat. You've now got a swarm of zombies, of just their tiny little limbs, so they can get you from just about anywhere. And now you have the zombie clot, which is the opposite, which is just this massive, huge undead made of a bunch of zombies. And now you have this zombie plague spreader that can be just wandering around a neighborhood, a castle, and cause a zombie outbreak. And now, thanks to Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, zombies are scary again. And I love it.
Yeah, definitely. Their resistances are really intimidating too, because one of them that stood out to me was they are resistant to being stunned, which makes sense. And I really like playing a monk who does stunning strikes, so that is not going to work against these zombies.
Yeah, a lot of undead are resistant to stun and a bunch of things that, they're just... What monk wants to fight a huge undead and try, there's nothing to stun.
Nope.
Yeah, it's just rotten flesh.
Yeah, it's a bad time.
It has no key points, It's just all rotting flesh. So I'm really happy with it and what they've done here.
Me too. I'm really terrified of these zombies. I cannot wait to encounter them and be terrified for my life. I will make sure to shut all doors and windows in that adventure. Thank you everybody for joining us in another episode talking about monsters in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.